you might be able to see behind me, that is Vesuvius, which is still an active volcano, although it hasn't erupted for like many, many years. But we are back. We are back in, well, in the province of Salerno, although we're currently like nearer Naples at the moment where the hotel is. And today is the day that we are going to view one of the houses that we really, really like. And I just wanted to share with you kind of how I'm feeling at the moment, because it is a mix of emotions. I'm feeling excited on the one hand, but I'm also feeling really anxious because we've kind of put all our eggs in one basket with this home. And I hope it is going to be as it looks in the pictures and really suitable for what we want, because it hasn't been easy finding a property back in the province of Salerno. As I mentioned in one of my videos, that particular area has now become so popular with tourists that more and more people are renting their homes out on seasonal bases. So it's not easy to find something on a long-term basis. And so it makes it difficult for us. So I'm really, really hoping that this is the one, especially because it's not easy to come over here at the moment. We can't come over in one day, which is the reason why we are staying in a hotel, because it's not, you can't do a return trip at the moment. The flights don't operate like in this way at this time of year. So yes, I will of course update you later, but a mix of emotions. I'm excited because this is the one property that ticks all of our boxes, from the specs, from the pictures, from location, everything. But it's just whether or not it's actually going to be what we think it is. And of course, whether or not the landlord likes us to want to rent it to us. So let's see. This is the first time we are renting a property with like no current connections. All of our other properties that we've ever found have been through somebody that we know. So it's a different process. And I do think it has helped me understand more what it could be like for you potentially if you're planning to move to Italy, because you have to jump through so many hoops to gain the trust of landlords here. And I think, this is why connection is a thing here in Italy. This is why I say build your connections as soon as you can, because they really, really do make a difference. Okay, so it's Saturday. And in my last clip, it was Wednesday and we went to see the house, and yeah, it was nice. It wasn't exactly what we'd thought. And this is why you have to be a bit careful sometimes, even in your own country, when you're looking at photographs on a listing, because for some reason I had it in my head that there was another level and there wasn't. But we could make it work. Like the people who live there at the moment, they were not the tidiest, admittedly, which made it difficult for me to visualize some of the rooms and decide what we could do with the rooms. But I could see potential. However, the stumbling block has been the landlord, because he is super, super anxious. Now, this is not anything new. Like, I've spoken about my public videos on my channel. I've spoken about how landlords here are notoriously anxious because they, could end up with tenants who don't pay the rent, or end up with problems later on down the line if tenants damage the property or whatever it may be. I've always been really, really fortunate. And, like sitting here now, I realize that it's because I've built connections, because really connections are everything. Like I stress it so much on my channel, but I'm even saying it to you here now, in this kind of behind the scenes video, because it is this. Connections are everything. When you try to do things cold with no connections, it is so tough because people don't know you to trust you. And here, the connections really mean everything. People do their due diligence if they don't know you. If you have a connection, it's less likely that that due diligence will be done. That's how powerful connections really are here. And, up until now, I've always known someone who has known someone that has ended up meaning that I found somewhere to live. But this is the first time where we've had to do this just by ourselves. And it's been an experience. I mean, it felt like I was having to sell a limb. Here, take my hand, take my leg, have a foot. It felt like that in trying to persuade this landlord that we were really good people. And this is the thing, just to give you an example of how tough this landlord is, we have basically presented 2 indeterminato contracts. So my boyfriend's new job will be immediately with an indeterminato contract. I've already got an existing indeterminato contract that I've had for over 2 years. That is a very strong position to be in. And the amount of money we would earn between us for every month, easily covers what we would need to pay for rent on this home. And not only that, but, you know, like, we are good people, we're respectful, and we really presented ourselves in this way when we viewed this home. However, the landlord was really adamant that he wanted a bank guarantee. Now, I had no idea what this was. I assumed it was just a kind of reference from the bank to say, you know, these people received their money and, you know, everything is okay. But later on, when I researched this, I realised that bank guarantees are a really big deal. So basically, it depends on the landlord, but usually you have to give at least a minimum of 6 months rent and have that money available in your account for the bank to freeze. They take control of that money, they freeze it, and you cannot touch that money for the duration of your contract. So if you have a 3x2 or a 4x4, potentially that could be maximum 5 years or maximum 8 years that you are not allowed to touch that money. And, you know, if you're talking 6 months rent, that could easily be like, depending on the price of your home, it could be nearly 6,000 euros. That's a lot of money just to have sitting around where you can't touch it. And, you know, the whole process takes time. It takes between 30 to 60 days to organise. It's not an easy procedure. Considering we're transferring from Sicily as well, there are so many costs associated with that too. This is something really extreme, plus the fact that he wants to have a 3-month deposit, plus the first month rent up front. You're looking at, what, 12,000 euros before you've even stepped foot into your home? It's really, really extreme, and I've never experienced this before. And, you know, I really think it is because he doesn't know us and he's had this really terrible experience in the past with previous tenants. And so that's why this time he wants to be really, really sure. Now, luckily, the new boss of my boyfriend is incredible. Like, what an incredible company he's going to be working for. But essentially, they were like, we will be your guarantees. You are not going to go down the whole bank guarantee route because it's so complicated and you don't have that kind of money available, which is true, we don't. We will be your guarantees. We will act as your guarantee. If you don't pay your rent, we will cover you. Like, I don't know anyone, any other company in Sicily, in Italy, that would ever be like that. And so the latest update really is that our landlord spoke to the boss of my boyfriend yesterday, actually. And, you know, they had a conversation. It seemed to go okay. And now we are continuing to wait while he speaks with his wife. It's a long process, guys. My head is in a bit of a spin because I feel really stuck in this moment. I feel stuck because we cannot progress anything until we know what's going on with this home. This home would be perfect for us on so many different levels, and it's not exactly what we thought it was, but as I said before, we can make it work. There is nothing else that we have seen that would be suitable, like in terms of price, in terms of contract length. Salerno has become crazy in the past couple of years that we've been away, and now it is outpricing local people. Like, really, it's the place that people go to take holiday homes now. It's not the place that you can easily find somewhere to live on a long-term basis. And so I really don't know what we're going to do if the landlord decides that, you know, everything that we have presented, which is everything, is enough. But, you know, on the other hand, I'm hopeful. The fact that the landlord has contacted the boss of my boyfriend, I think, indicates that he must be interested in us. I think we made a good impression. I think they could very easily have said, you know, we're not interested, we need a bank guarantee. If they didn't like us, for example, they didn't have to continue this process on. So let's see. I was hoping to do this behind the scenes video this month and actually be able to give you a definitive answer, but I don't think we're going to know one until next week. So I was like, do you know what? Let's just do this video and I'll announce it once we know. But it's stressful. It is super, super stressful when you have so much resting on this decision and when you don't really know, like, what your second kind of choice is going to be or what you're going to do. Yeah, my head is all over the place. There is so much that we have to think about in terms of the move itself. This is the first time that we're moving with a dog. It's the first time that we're doing a proper move, having really settled here for 2.5 years. Because back in Salerno, I spent some time living with my boyfriend and then I spent some time living alone. And then we moved back here together. And so this is the longest time that we've really been settled together, I would say. And so, you know, we've accumulated more furniture and things that we definitely didn't have in Salerno. And so this is like the biggest kind of move I think I've ever done to date. And for this, I feel a bit stressed. So I don't know. I'll let you know what happens, of course, but it's stressful finding a home. And, you know, it brings me back to this whole community thing, because really you've got to build connections. And if you're planning to move to Italy, this is my number one thing that I want to stress. Build your connections, because without connections, it's tough here. It's tough to prove yourself. It's tough to make any progress with anything. Connections make things so much easier. And I've actually been, and, you know, I will mention it here first because I respect the fact that you have invested into my channel and you're kind of interested in what I'm doing. I'm working on building an expat community for people, because my experiences with expat communities have predominantly been negative. I've had some really good positive outcomes, like that's how I discovered the expat group in Salerno, for example. But on a whole, my experiences have been negative. Like, you know, the comments that I'll read, the people who will kind of try to extinguish other people's dreams of moving here, it can be really extreme sometimes. And I don't think they're as welcoming an environment as you might hope that they are. And I realised that we need something like this. If you plan to move to Italy, you need to be surrounded by people who get it, who support you, and potentially who you can make those wonderful connections with that I keep stressing in all of my videos. Because it's not easy if you're moving here alone, especially, and you don't have people that you know here. You need to find a way to build yourself up. And so this is something that I'm in the process of fleshing out and building upon. But I think it's something that I want to launch this year. This year has always been about community for me. This is why I started these memberships on my channel, to try to give you an even more of an insight into my life, into the things that I'm dealing with, into everything basically. But external to YouTube, I want to build an actual platform, because YouTube, you can only do so much. You can do early access, I can do live streams, I can do, you know, like private posts. But in terms of allowing a community to grow, yes, I can do that through the comments on my videos, but I cannot kind of bring everybody together in the same way that I could through an organized platform. So this is something that I'm really, really working on this year, because I realize how necessary it is, and I realize how important it is. And you are the first people that I'm sharing this news with. You might see some questions pop up on my social media feeds in the coming days, kind of asking people's ideas about expat communities, but I'm not actually going to properly announce it yet. So you will definitely have been the first people to know about this in terms of a concrete idea. But this is it. January for me, we are like rounding up the first month of this year. And for me, I feel like it's been quite a transformational month. Finally making the decision to leave Palermo was huge. Finally, actually, you know, speaking to my work, getting my job, you know, all confirmed, you know, having that sense of security to know that I will continue to have a job was amazing. Having that support from my work was amazing. Really sitting with myself and being like, I want to build out this expat community. That's been an amazing aspect of this month. And also like taking the first plane trip of 2025, going back to Salerno, seeing the house that we liked. That was a good experience as well. And I hope that we can close off this month with the news that we have this home, because we've still got, at the time of filming, another 5 days of January to go. But overall, I'm really happy for what this month has brought in terms of my development and the things that I've been working on. And I'm really happy that I've been so consistent on my social media, because it's difficult. I do work a lot. And it's hard sometimes to find the time, and I do make sacrifices in order to create my content, but I feel like it's worth it. I want to help so many of you, and you know, for me, it brings me pleasure to sit down and have a chat with you about life here and try to help you in some way. So yeah, it's been a beautiful month, I think I can safely say, and I guess I'll see you in the next behind the scenes video in February. Ciao for now.